What I remember most about being in that production is not so much the role, but the fact that really I think Gibson's must have given up on me eventually, because I'd done a film called User Friendly, and they'd hired me like a year later for Shark in the Park, sight unseen. And when I was in User Friendly, I was quite slim and I had curly hair to about here. First, I missed my flight, so I turned up late. And then I walked into the studio and Yvonne looked at me and went, oh, you've changed, because I put on about, I don't know, a stone, and my hair was really short. So I was not at all what they expected. And then, whether it was on Shark in the Park or Cover Story, I think, I had a thing where I'd been given an alarm clock to get up at 6:15, and it was this weird alarm clock that went, wake up, wake up. And I was staying in a really dark room, completely black, and the alarm went off, and I thought I was dreaming and turned it off thinking it said 3:30, and slept in and had to get a phone call from up the road going, where are you? And then on the same job, I was waiting for them to pick me up from somewhere, and they thought I was walking to where they were. So my history with that production company is terrible. I played an Amazon queen called Melosa, and she was only in one episode, but her posse kind of continued through other stuff, like Danielle, and she would be talked about. And funnily enough, she has this big fan following, had this big fan following, which was weird because it was only one episode, but I had like little cards with my photographs on it, and I'd get fan mail and saying, wow, don't ever cut your hair, and it was like this wig, you know. But that was really cool because it was the first time I'd got to do anything like that sort of epic stunts. There was lots of fights, and I loved that. And it was just in a completely different zone, you know. It was new for us. I loved that. I had a really good time on it, yeah. I remember working with Ryan Gosling, and because it was all those, it was Dean and Ryan and Jodie. But what I find really funny now is when I see Ryan Gosling, beautiful, beautiful actor, he still looks like that little geeky teenage boy to me. And I hear these, you know, women going, God, he's hot, Ryan Gosling, I really like him. And all I can see is this little weedy guy, you know. But I remember that he was a really, really lovely young man, is what I remember about him. And I don't remember very much specifically about what I had to do. I think a lot of my Xena young Herc roles were quite similar. They were kind of warrior. Well, she was a kind of prophet seer, I think, similar. But the frocks were quite similar in some of them, yeah. What was great about Majik was she was really different to anything I'd played before, because generally I get, you know, women in suits, lawyers, doctors, that kind of thing, business women. And she lived in a house truck. She was pretty loose, and she did dumb stuff. You know, she didn't think first. She just did stuff, and it was really liberating. It was so liberating to do that. And I got fabulous costumes that I liked and felt good in, and we went down to Hokitika and stayed at this really cool little pub, and you know, everyone just played pool at night, and it was a really wonderful experience for me. I felt like it was my first opportunity to really, on screen, do more. And I think that changed from that. How I was viewed as a screen actress changed, I feel, because after that I got Being Eve, which Vanessa was working on, you know, but, and then Mercy Peak after that, and yeah, so it was definitely career changing for me, Majik and Rose. I remember doing some stuff with Stephen Lovett. I remember doing one scene with him arguing over a toilet seat. And I think it was the first time I realised that perhaps I could do a little bit of comedy, because I'd always thought of myself as a serious actress, you know. And so, yeah, she was a bit nutty and a bit kooky. I really liked her because I felt actually she wasn't so far away from me in lots of ways, so that was quite easy, you know. She was quite fun to play, yeah. And it was full of energy because all those young people, but I remember also it was the first time we'd done anything like Being Eve, was groundbreaking in its own way. And so I know that it was tight money-wise and everyone was working really hard to make it work. Those young kids worked so hard. But I really enjoyed that show. It was good fun. I got pregnant in between season 1 and season 2. I remember ringing Rachel and going, I'm pregnant, thinking I've just got this great job and now I'm, you know, going to have no work again. I'm just going to be fat and old and nobody will want me. And anyway, she, bless her, said, well, we'll work with it. But if anything goes wrong or if anything happens, that will go into the story. Really hard for them, amazing. So they went away and rewrote all the stuff and wrote fantastic storylines for me. So for me it was a blessing in a way, because I wouldn't have got anything like those storylines if I hadn't been pregnant. I could not get the words out. I was so nervous. And I had to say, you have arterial sclerosis, a hardening of the arteries, something or other. Anyway, after a couple of attempts, Tony said to me, hey, why don't we just break it up, do it like this? And so what he did was make it really easy for me not to look stupid and do it. I found him a remarkably gracious man because everyone wanted a piece of him. It was kind of weird actually, because someone in the crew was going, go on, get your picture taken with him, get your picture taken with him. And I really didn't want to. And I did, because I got pushed into it, but I actually didn't want to do that because I thought everybody wants you. And he was so giving to everybody. It was really amazing. So that would be a real thrill and highlight of my career. Actually, you know, having that little moment with him. It's quite Boise. In fact, it's very Boise. And I think it really... sometimes I read the scripts and go, oh my God, you can't say that. You know, in terms of it pushes it a bit. But then I suppose we're used to that with Outrageous anyway, you know, in terms of where you can go. It's funny because this season's quite different to the last. I think it will blossom this season. I think it was still finding where it was a bit in terms of you've got gods, but they're mortal. How do you do that? You know, how do you make it click and make us really engaged? So it's moved into a different zone now. So I think it could be really exciting, very funny this time. Yeah. I don't know what my sense of it is really, except that I think this time there's a lot more surprises in it. Yeah. I think I get given quite gritty stuff, which I'm really lucky to get, but I think that's I think that's probably because I'm quite, not so much now as I've got older, but have been quite emotionally a volatile person, and I think that's quite useful sometimes as an actress. But now also as I've got older, I think I'm quite playful, which is just, I have to say, it's so liberating. And I think lots of that came, a lot of it came actually out of working in theatre, physical work, with physical companies. So I try not to take it too seriously, but I'd say I take it quite lightly, but I also really want to do my very best, so I'm quite hard on myself as well. And you know, I think you'll find most actors will say to you, you're waiting for that day when somebody's going to go, wait a minute, I've sprung you, you're an imposter, you don't know what you're doing and you're actually not very good. So I think all actors are waiting for that day.